All right. Hi, Facebook. It's Sara and Natalie here with Bob Clements International. And we just want to thank you for joining us today. We are going to be talking about assessments. And this is something Natalie and I are both very excited about. We love assessments and the value they bring to companies and businesses and just people in general. So without further ado, let's get started. My name's Sara Hay. I am over operations and development here at BCI. I try to keep everyone in line, easier said than done, right? But we are excited to be here and talking about assessment. So Natalie, why don't you give people a little bit of background on you?
Okay. I came to work for Bob Clements International about a year ago, and I've known Bob and Sandy for over 15 years. I am currently working in the accounting department. That's my degree, and I also take care of the assessments for any of the dealers that are looking for assessments for their personnel. I met Bob actually when I was working at a school, and the first assessment that I took was one of these, and I felt like Bob Clements had taken my diary out of my bedroom, and I was really angry because I thought, this is spot on. This is me.
Yeah, that's creepy, Natalie.
It really is. But I found out that it's actually just a science. It's not Bob lurking around. It is actually something that has changed my life and impacted me greatly because I was the youngest of 7 kids and I had a completely different personality than everybody else, and I thought something was wrong with me. But now I know that everything's right with me. So I also noticed that in the last 15 years, after having my assessment done, I'm a lot more confident in my positions that I work in. I'm a lot more confident with myself. I think that it's really helped me in a lot of different ways, both personally and professionally. So
yeah, absolutely.
I love it. That's why I'm passionate about it.
That's wonderful. You know, and I've had a little bit of a different experience with assessments. I am Bob's oldest daughter, and so I have been around assessments basically my whole life. Like, this is a type of vocabulary and the words that we have used growing up. And you know, one of the funniest things that I always say is when my husband and I started dating, my mom, shout out to my mom, hey, but she had us both sit down and take assessments, right? At the time I said, oh mom, what in the world? But now I could not be more thankful and appreciative of that because it has laid the foundation for everything as we've understood each other and grown together in our marriage and as we've with our family. And I will totally, we have 5-year-old twin girls and a 1-year-old, and as they start dating and things, oh heck, they're all going to be taking assessments. So that's kind of where my basis started with this. But above and beyond, seeing how assessments have been transformational in our company and companies that we work with has been incredible. It's really given us all a really great level playing field and an understanding and a basic language that we can all communicate with as we're trying to understand each other. So, you know, that's why I'm passionate about assessments. It's really given us a great base as we're trying to understand and work with other people.
Absolutely.
So, hey, Natalie, so let's take a few minutes and just kind of go over a basic overview of what assessments are. Would you just give us a high-level view?
Sure. Assessments the assessment that people take is an online test. I send them like a login and a password, and then they go in and they take, and it's a set of questions, and it's based on behavior. So it's going to take the way that you answer questions, and it's going to match those up with different behaviors, and the database that it pulls from is huge. So it's going to match those up with the different behaviors, different types of behaviors, and it's also going to notice the motivators, what motivates a person, which is the part that I'm very excited about. So it does that, and then it spits out a report, and it gives you the information in your report. And it's a test that takes about 20 minutes online, and then you automatically get a report back. So
very cool. So Natalie mentioned 2 parts with this, right? We have our behaviors and we have our motivators. And you can have the same behaviors as someone and have different motivators, and that's what makes you different people. I did a webinar yesterday for Rural Lifestyle Dealer, and in that I talked about assessments a little bit. So this is a follow-up from that webinar. If you want more information on hiring us and assessments and how that all fits together, be sure to reach out to us and we'll get you a link for that. But one of the things that I talked about is the behavior part of this, right? So this is also called the DISC, D-I-S-C. And your DISC is what makes up a person's behaviors. It kind of gives you a clue into how they're going to react in a certain situation, right? So one thing I want to say is that as you're understanding the DISC, you're never going to really be just one. There's going to be a combination of them that makes you who you are, right? So, okay, so if you have an assessment already done, you'll have a graph that looks something like this. This perfect graph is mine. So this is what a perfect human being looks like. Just kidding. Natalie's is exactly the same. So, and it's really not actually common for two people to have the same graph, but here we are. You're welcome, world. So as you're looking at this, you're going to have some that are higher than others, and those are going to be your dominant personality traits, right? So mine, if you look, I'm a high D and a high I. I'm a very low S and a very low C. So I'm going to take a few minutes and talk through what these different personality types mean, and you'll kind of get a hint of who I am, and you'll say, oh heavens, I think that's what you'll probably say. All right, so a high D personality. If you are a high D, this means you're a driver. That's the word we use for this. And you want to get things done regardless of the ramification, right? It's that atomic bomb going off and the shrapnel's everywhere. You've made the decision, you're getting it done, and you don't care who's in the way. All right, I'm a high D. Hey, world. I want to get my tasks done. We always joke in our office, I'm in high D mode today. Like, don't come in unless you actually need something. We're not here to chit-chat about things, but we're getting things done regardless of the ramifications. Now, every personality type has a strength and a weakness, right? So some of the strengths with a high D personality is you're always taking charge, you're making quick decisions, and you're very persistent, right? So those are some of our strengths. It's hard to believe there's any weaknesses to this personality type, as this is my strongest, right? But there are a few. You can come off as impatient. No, if you would ask anyone around this office, I'm sure they wouldn't say that about me. You take on too much sometimes, and you're very demanding of others at times. Okay, so the joke is this week, all of those have been said of me. So there it is. We're just full of truth bombs here. So every personality type, I like to say, has a phrase they need to learn how to say in order to interact with other people. And these phrases just kind of level the playing field and help you understand how you are perceived by other people. So if you are a high D personality, your phrase, and this is a painful one, my friends, is I'm sorry, right? Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being impatient. I'm sorry for taking on too much. I'm sorry for being too demanding of others, right? So I'm sorry is the high D phrase. Not that you actually mean it, like, let's be clear, but that's how you're going to be able to interact with others on a more productive level.
Right.
So, Natalie, do you
because
feel,
it's hard to be sorry when you were never wrong.
There it is. Okay, so the next personality type is the high I personality, right? This is also called the influencer personality. And you are shaping your environment by influencing and persuading others. Some of the strengths for this personality is you're optimistic, right? You have a desire to help others, and you're verbally articulate, right? This is someone who everybody loves them. When they walk into a room, everybody's drawn to them. Hey, party time. And people can't get enough of this person. They're a high I personality. Some of the weaknesses are overestimating results, acting impulsively, and overcommitting to things, right? You can't say no. So the phrase I like to say for the high I personality is, are you busy? Not everybody is going to be ready to hear about your 45-minute conversation about your weekend and where you had lunch at. No. Like, right, we just talked about the high D. We're moving and grooving. We don't want to be interrupted. A high I, there can be some conflict there, right? Because not everybody's wanting to be interrupted. So your phrase is, are you busy? Ouch. Like, that hurts. They don't really care if they're busy, though, do they, Natalie?
Because they don't take a breath between are you busy and their story.
That's right. Not everybody wants to see your latest cat video from YouTube. Like, no, I don't want to see it. Anyways, okay, moving on. The high S personality is the next one. This is the steady personality, right? So you are going to get tasks completed with as little conflict as possible. The thought of conflict makes you want to run and hide to the other room because you don't want to deal with it.
That's what they say. Neither of us have any S,
we don't understand.
so we're just
Whatever.
giving you the statistics.
That's
here.
exactly right. We don't understand that. So some of the strengths of a high S personality is that you're loyal, you're consistent, and you like to work in established work patterns, okay? Some of the weaknesses are you have a hard time meeting deadlines, you procrastinate quite a bit, and you don't like change. So the phrase for this personality types is, I'm open to your ideas. No, you're not. You're not open to the ideas of anyone else, right? You don't want change. You don't want conflict. But in order for you to work with other people effectively, you have to be open to other people's ideas. That's just part of it. Again, this is a bold-faced lie. You don't actually care. You're not open, but that's just part of being a functioning member of society, I guess.
Just say it. Eventually you might mean it.
Yeah, probably not. All right, and then our fourth personality type is a high C personality, and this is a compliant personality. So this person likes to gather, criticize, and test information and then come up with the best plan, right? So we all know people who are like this. I always joke this is most like an owl, wise, thinking through all the different possibilities and making a decision based on all of the information. So some of the strengths of a high C personality is you're orderly, you're thorough, and analytical. I'm sure you all have a person in your head you're like, oh, they're a high C, right? Some of the weaknesses are you're picky, you're too detailed, and you're too cautious, right? It's like the analysis of the paralysis situation. If you know somebody who over researches things and can never make a decision, they're probably a high C personality.
That comes out in the form of a perfectionist a lot.
Absolutely,
You can
yeah.
think of that.
Absolutely, which neither of us are. So, again, we don't know anything about that. All right, and so our phrase for a high C personality, a high compliant personality is, I trust you. Again, this is a lie. You don't trust anyone because no one has thought through the details and spent the amount of time thinking through this like you have. But in order to work with other people who are different than yourself, you have to work on saying this and sometimes meaning it. Sometimes you don't. I get it. But there has to be a level of understanding and meaning between all of these different personality types. Okay, so this is a very high level overview of what the behaviors or the DISC portion of this is. And Natalie's going to take a little bit of time now and explain the motivators and how does that work?
Right.
How does that match with this?
Well, Sarah, you mentioned that we both have the same behaviors. Behaviors are what you see in a person. If Sarah walks through the door, I guarantee you're going to see her because she's loud and proud and in charge. So you can sometimes look at that and say, wow, and the reason that you do that is because these are behaviors that we see. Now, the motivators, what motivates a person are things internal that we don't necessarily see right off the bat. So Sarah and I have the same graph, basically, for our behaviors. However, what makes us unique is that we may have the same behaviors, but we have different things that motivate us. So the motivators are on your report, and they show as theoretical, utilitarian, aesthetic, social, individualistic, and then traditional. So depending on how you answered your questions, show what kind of behaviors you have, but also what motivates those behaviors. So you may score, we look at usually the top 2 to 3 motivators, what motivates a person. If your top motivator was theoretical, it means you like to learn. You like to learn because you like to learn. You love to learn. But that doesn't mean that I'm not a person that loves to learn. Okay, I don't love to learn. I don't sit and try to learn everything. And I went through 4 years of college without reading one textbook.
Killed it.
Anyway, but the thing is that I am more instinctive. So there's like an intellectual and there's an instinctive person. underneath the theoretical. I'm more instinctive. I go with my gut feeling on some things, and then I also get in and I learn what I need to learn, which is why I took 3 algebra classes in my 40s. So I can get in and I can do it, and I can do it well. But it's basically, what do I need to know? What do I need to focus my, attention on? But that's not really, I didn't score very high in the theoretical, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to learn. So the intellectuals score very high in the theoretical. They love to learn. In the utilitarian, that means you're motivated by efficiencies, about the return of investment. Lots of times it can come out as money, but it's not always money. It's a return on investment, what you get out of relationships, what you get out of financial things. So a lot of salespeople work in compensation situations where they are motivated by getting that bonus. If I get to here, then I get a bonus. So they're like, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to get out there and I'm going to kill it, Well, if you're trying to motivate a person that scores low in utilitarian, good luck. Because they're going to cash their check, and that doesn't mean that they're not going to do well. It's just that they're not motivated by that. So sometimes what they're motivated on is for the greater good. They're doing things because it's great for the organization. They're doing things because it's great for their team. They're going to work hard to be on a team. Well, they're not going to score very high in utilitarian, but they still see the value in that. It's just their value is not necessarily monetary.
Sure.
So then there is the aesthetic. I score very low on this too. That's kind of, it goes between being harmonious and being objective. The harmonious person is always looking for balance in their relationships, and they look at the value of the experience and things like that. I'm looking at chaotic situations make me crazy. But I try to focus on the desired outcome. So I'm looking at the outcome and the results, where they're looking at the harmony and the value. Sure. And so those are the two different types of aesthetics. The social person that's motivated by social, there's altruistic and then there's intentional. So the altruistic, again, is the person that wants to help everyone, that they're motivated by helping people. They're motivated by doing things with really not a personal return. So I know that sounds bad, but at the same time, I help people for specific purposes. And that doesn't mean that I don't have some compassion for people that I do know. Sure. But, I just don't, I do things intentionally. There's an intention to what I do, and it's not for the greater good or things like that. It's for a certain outcome. So I am motivated by outcomes.
Sure.
Individualistic, there's a commanding, and then there's a collaborative. The commanding scores high in individualistic, and they value status and recognition for what they've done. And they like to have control over their freedom and their own destiny. A lot of these people are very political. That's me. So, on the collaborative side, you're going to score low in individualistic, but what it is that you're comfortable in your supportive role.
Absolutely.
And you perform without the need for recognition.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Mm-mm.
Not us. So, then traditional people do things because they're following a certain system of living, a defined system of living, and they go with proven methods. I score very high in this. It's like my third one, I think, but I score pretty high in the principled part of this. Now, the receptive part, you might score low in traditional, but what it means is that you're a person that's open to new ideas, new methods. I heard a guy say that his boss was this type of person, and this boss would never go to the same restaurant twice.
Oh, gosh.
Always wanted to go try new things. That's not me.
No.
I kind of, I go to the same place and I'm like, I'm going to order something different. Nope, I'm going to order the same thing I've always ordered every time I go to this place because
Right.
I know it's going to be good and I'm not going to have to worry about something not being good. So these are things that motivate us. And so when you understand what motivates a person, it really helps you to be able to help manage them, find things that make them do their best, and bring out the best in them at their job and in their personal lives. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to recap a little bit, motivators are on this continuum constantly.
Yes.
You're not, I mean, I guess you could be all one side, but there's this like middle ground where you're going to be a little bit of one and a little bit of another. And it's all
Depending
on
on
the
the
continuum.
situation. That's where the situational things come through. This is Sarah's driving forces. So
Look, you guys are getting to know me
you
so
can
well
see
during
the
this.
continuums here, and then it will just tell you there are some different places where she might be situationally on the other side, but it's going to be her natural bent is going to be where she scores high.
Right. And this really is what makes a person who they are, what motivates them. You know, even like as you're dealing with kids, like understanding what their motivators are and how to work with them in those situations will help a lot with children even, right?
And that's why Dr. Phil says find their currency.
That's
He's
exactly
talking about their motivators.
That's exactly right. So basically we are Dr. Phil is what you're saying. Basically.
This ain't our first rodeo.
Great. Moving on.
Okay.
So, all right. So, you know, there are a lot of different ways that you can use assessments. And so we're going to talk about a few of them that we love and that we've seen be really effective. One of them that's my favorite way to use assessments is in the hiring process. So in the hiring process, as you use assessments, the first thing we encourage anyone to do is create a job benchmark. So what this means is you get your whole entire group around a table and you pull up this program that we have and you start working together to decide exactly what type of personality you need in this position and what motivators you need in this position, right? So everyone is on the same page and everybody is clear on our expectations for a position. And this goes back, we've joked a lot, many times, two things. First, you can't hire Jesus. You have to have realistic expectations of this person. We are hiring to fill a job and we're not hiring a person that we're going to make the job fit for them. So that is what benchmarking does. It gives us right in front of our face with a printout, this is exactly the personality type we need for this position, and these are the motivators they need to have.
Right, and what this does in this initial gathering of the people who will have something to do with this person, whether this person reports to them or however that works, in order to create buy-in, which is what a lot of people are concerned about, what you need to do, rather than concern yourself about their personality or anything like that, the first thing that you need to do is you need to create key accountabilities. What types of things is this person going to be doing?
Right.
Because then you're really defining the job before you're finding the person that's going to be a good fit for the job. So you need to, and then everybody has buy-in once you create the key accountability.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, as we talk through the hiring process in our company, that's the first thing you do with the job. But that feeds right into the assessments because it will speak the same language as your assessment speaks. You know, the other thing I want you to think about is as you're hiring and using assessments for the hiring process, you need to be intentional. This goes back to our benchmarking a little bit, but we are not just trying to find another warm body to put behind the parts counter at Season or put wherever you need in your business. We are not just finding a warm body. We're finding someone who is going to come into your company and they're going to thrive because they're in the right position for their personality and for their motivators. You're not going to want an inside salesperson who hates interacting with people, dreads picking up the phone. I know you probably all have some of those that don't know the phone goes both ways, but like there are some. So you need to be sure you're not hiring somebody who hates interacting with people, hates picking up the phone, and is not motivated by money. Because as a salesperson, a lot of times the compensation plans are structured to be around money. So it's important to be intentional about that. The other thing that we have found that is so helpful in the hiring process is this wheel that we use. So in our company, we took this wheel. Here, let me show you. Vanna. Okay. So we have this wheel, and this is my spot on the wheel. But as we did this, we had everybody's personalities put on this wheel. And what it shows you is where there are areas of your company or your team that you're lopsided in. And when we first did this, it was really eye-opening to us in so many ways. We have a lot of Heidis on our team. So if you want something done, you've come to the right place. However, the details are not our strong suit, and a lot of times, yeah, don't ask Natalie or I to be your detail person. We're not our favorite thing. We'll do it. We'll do it.
Yeah, we can do
but
it.
It's not our favorite. So these wheels help you understand where you need to fill in positions in this, and help you see the lopsidedness of that. So Natalie, what are some other ways that you can use the wheel?
Well, you can use them in group projects or projects that you have coming up in your organization. So you'll see on your wheel when you look at it on your report that there are people that are analyzers. These are going to be the C personalities. They love to research information. They're usually very theoretical. They like to learn. They like to look up all this stuff. So you're going to want to go to that person and you're going to want to utilize them for all the research that you need to do for this project. And please don't come to me. So
or
anyway,
me.
This wheel helps you to see, okay, I can have this person do the analyzing, then they can hand it off to this supporting person and coordinating person who can put all the processes together for this situation or this project. Then they can hand it off to the promoter or the persuader who can go out and sell it. So what you're doing then is you're allowing people to use their natural abilities to help the organization, but in turn it also validates who they are as a person because they're good at these things. These are the people that should be doing it.
Sure.
Just because there's one person that's the loud and proud and always in charge doesn't mean that they're good at everything, that you need done.
Right.
So what it does is it brings validation, it helps to motivate these people, and it also brings value to your organization. So that's why I like the wheel. I think it's very interesting to see where your holes are, where you're missing some things, where you need, to fill in some things so that you're working like a well-oiled machine. So
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the ways that we can use this in management, Natalie?
in the motivators,
Yeah.
the motivators in management can be used also to validate people, because if people come to you and they recognize that you're not a person that's going to be motivated by bonuses, they recognize that you're a person that's motivated by your family. I've been talking about this, and then it suddenly hit me that Sandy Clements does this to me every day. Okay? She does this. She's good. You're good, Sandy. Because she motivates me with my family stuff. I'm not really, I am utilitarian. I am motivated by return of investment. But my family is very important to me, too. So if Sandy says, hey, it's 3 o'clock, you're going to the lake this weekend, bye, take off, go be with your family. That motivates me. And then I say, I'm going to work really hard for Sandy Clements because I love that woman. And she notices that those things are important to me. That motivates me.
Right.
That makes me more loyal to the organization. That makes me work harder and smarter for the company.
Right.
But it also validates who I am, and she recognizes that that's really important to me. And so those are the things that you can do. As a manager, you can look at it and say, okay, I know that this is important to this person, and so that's how you use it in motivating them to be better for the company, but really to be better for themselves too. So I find these to be fantastic in the management position. It's life-changing. It's not to manipulate, it's to motivate, and it's to bring value to that person. So
Absolutely.
I think that's really important.
Absolutely. So I know we're getting close on time, but one of the things that we have seen are really as a really incredible tool, and we've just been using them for about 6 months now, but are the comparison reports. So Natalie, would you share with everybody how you've been seeing the comparison reports used in hiring in some of the companies that we work with?
Right. Sometimes people will call and say, okay, I want to go over it. When we do the assessments for you, we then call it debriefing. We go over the assessments with you so that you understand who it is that you're looking at to hire. And so sometimes people will say, I'm down to 2 people. I really need your help on discerning which one is the right fit for this. So what I will do is I will run them a comparison report, and they can see the same two people on the same piece of paper. And what I ask them to do is to make sure that if we have not done a job benchmark for them, then what we need to do is we need to write down the key accountabilities before you look at this comparison report. And that way you're looking at what are the most important aspects of being able to fill this position with the right person. And so then when they look at that, and then they look at these two people side by side, they can say, well, I really liked this about this person, but this person really fits this job, key accountabilities better. It helps them to be able to make those decisions. It also takes a look at maybe the manager they might have, how these two people might be able to interact, and how that would look, and what they have in common, what their differences are. It's a life-changing report too, because it really does help you either to confirm what you were thinking about hiring, or to be able to confirm what you were thinking about hiring.
Right.
You know, one way or the other. It's also really great to use in positions where you have people that don't necessarily work for each other, but they work with each other. And if they have issues with communication, then you can utilize this to help them find common ground, help manage them to be able to work together better. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and the other thing that we've seen, especially within our own company, is using these comparison reports in our family business, right? Like, there are a lot of different family members who are in our company, and we have people who are not. Natalie is not part of well, basically she is, but over the last year she's become part. Anyways, but we are able to I can take my report and put it next to my dad's report, right? So during this, I can see ways that we need to communicate with one another. And as Natalie and I were talking about this even yesterday, I think it really creates a more peaceful environment for everyone in the office. If the family is in conflict, there's this underlying, I don't know, it heightened urgency in the office, this uncomfortableness, right? But when you're communicating clearly with your family members who are in the business with you, you are able to create more of a peace and an effective workplace for everyone. And so that's been really a really incredible way that we've been able to use this tool and see differences in personality, but also understand how do we communicate with someone that we've been with for all of our life. You know, because when you move from a family relationship to a work relationship, it's hard. It's different. And it's something you've got to think through. How do you communicate?
It's hard on the people who are not related. So I just shut my door.
Well, but we're working through it. We're constantly working through it. So, you know, I would encourage you, as you are in family business, so many of you are, do this comparison report with the people that you are closest to, because it will be really eye-opening for you. You know, the last thing we want to talk about, just really quick, is everything that we talk about at BCI is about processes and efficiency. And the same holds true for assessments and how you utilize assessments. By understanding where people fit in your organization and how you can motivate them and work with them, you are creating increased efficiency in your team. And that really translates to dollars at your bottom line. You're not putting people in positions that they hate and can't stand. You're holding on to your workforce better, and you're really becoming a place people want to work and people are thriving. You know, so I think that all in all is one of the most important parts of this, is you are being a good steward of the people that you're interacting with.
Agreed.
So, awesome. All right, well, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email. I'm Sara at bobclements.com and Natalie at bobclements.com. Would love to answer them for you. But that's it for now. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.